Welcome to On the Way, a series rooted in the ancient Latin phrase in via, meaning on the journey. On the Way is a series of personal reflections, an invitation to pause, breathe, and consider where God is moving in the everyday rhythms of life. Rooted in faith and shaped by lived experience, these short episodes explore the questions, insights, and graces that unfold as we walk the road of discipleship. Whether you're seeking encouragement, clarity, or simply a companion along the journey, On the Way offers a quiet moment of presence and perspective. Today's topic is Holding Space for Grace, a year-end reflection. I'm thinking about this time of year, moving into a season when everything seems to accelerate. Gatherings, commitments, expectations. I found myself craving the opposite. Margin. Not a retreat from life, but a little more room within it. Space to breathe, to listen, to pray. Space for the rosary. Space to remember why we do the things we do. The mission of On the Way resonates deeply with me. To help the faithful encounter Christ's peace and presence in their everyday lives through honest reflection and the shared journey of faith. That's not just a tagline, it's a direction of life. And as the year draws to a close, it feels natural and necessary to ask how well I've lived that out and where I've missed the mark. When I look back over these past months, I can see small but real moments of grace. Times I made room for someone who needed it. Times I stepped into a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Times I actually listened instead of rushing ahead. These moments rarely made headlines, but they shaped the interior landscape of my year. And I've noticed this. Whenever I've protected time for prayer, especially the rosary, those moments seem to happen more frequently and more naturally. Prayer slows me down just enough to see God already at work around me. It reminds me that courage isn't loud, compassion isn't complicated, and community isn't accidental. They all grow from the soil of intentional, quiet faithfulness. Of course, reflection also reveals the gaps. There were days, more than I'd like to admit, when the pace of life completely overwhelmed the purpose of life. Days when prayer felt optional, or when the needs in front of me were met with quick solutions rather than Christ-like presence. Days when community felt like another item on the list instead of a calling. These aren't failures in the discouraging sense. They're invitations. Invitations to reorder my days. To protect margin not because life slows down, but because God deserves that space, whether life cooperates or not. Invitations to remember that the mission of On the Way starts with the inner life, with the quiet, steady guarding of my own heart. So as this season rushes in with its lights, music, and motion, I'm choosing once again to slow down, to carve out time each day, even just a few minutes, for stillness. To pray the rosary not as another task, but as a way of keeping watch with the one who keeps watch over me. Reflection isn't about tallying victories or shortcomings. It's about realigning our hearts to the mission God has given us, to live our faith in the very places where life unfolds, in conversation, in work, in family, in service, and even in the quiet of our own homes. My hope, for myself and for all of us, is that this season becomes a turning point, a time when we give God room to speak, and when we rediscover how small acts of courage, compassion, and community can transform the world, starting with our own. Thanks for being here today, and for being part of our community. St. Augustine reminds us that God is closer to us than we are to ourselves. Carry that with you. and I'll see you down the road.